He entered the room and saw his son with a stomachache. When he discovered the reason, Michael Johnson came home after another exhausting day of meetings and tight deadlines, expecting to find the usual peace and quiet. But the strange silence hanging over the house put him on alert. That's when he heard a low moan coming from his son's room. Michael rushed up the stairs and pushed open Ethan's bedroom door. The scene before him made him freeze in the doorway. His 8-year-old son was curled up in bed, clutching his stomach with both small hands, his face twisted in pain and tears streaming down his cheeks. "Ethan, what happened?" Michael ran to the bed, sitting beside the boy. "Daddy." "It hurts so bad," Ethan whispered between sobs. Michael touched his son's forehead, checking for a fever. His skin felt normal, but the boy kept writhing in pain. "We're going to the hospital right now," Michael said, already standing up to grab the car keys. "No, Daddy, you don't have to." Ethan grabbed his father's arm with surprising strength for a child his age. "It'll go away, it always does." "What do you mean it always does? How long have you been feeling this pain?" Ethan looked away, biting his lower lip. Michael's heart raced. As a father, he should know if his son was sick. How had he missed this? "Ethan, answer me. How long has this been happening?" "A few weeks," the boy murmured, still avoiding his father's gaze. Michael ran his hands through his hair, feeling a mix of worry and guilt. He'd been so busy with work that he hadn't noticed something was wrong with his only child. "Where's Grandma Betty?" Michael asked, looking for his mother, who always took care of Ethan while he was away. "She went to the pharmacy to get medicine for her headache," Ethan replied, still squirming in pain. Michael stood there, feeling completely lost. He didn't know how to ease his son's suffering. He grabbed his phone and called his mother. "Mom, did you know Ethan has a stomachache?" On the other end of the line, there was a long silence. "Mom? Son, I'm on my way back. We'll talk when I get home." Grandma Betty's tone made Michael even more worried. There was something he didn't know. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now, continuing. When Grandma Betty got home, she found Michael sitting beside Ethan's bed. The boy had finally fallen asleep after the pain subsided. "Mom, what's going on? Why did you sound strange on the phone?" Grandma Betty, a 68-year-old woman with neatly styled gray hair, took a deep breath before answering. "Michael, I need to tell you something. Ethan's been having these pains for almost 2 months." "2 months? And you didn't tell me?" "He made me promise not to tell you," Grandma Betty said, looking at her sleeping grandson. "He said you already have enough to worry about at work." Michael felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. His 8-year-old son was protecting him, hiding his own pain to avoid burdening him. "But Mom, that's ridiculous. He's a child." "That's exactly it, Michael. He's a child who's suffering and doesn't want to bother his father." "What did the doctors say?" Grandma Betty lowered her head. "We haven't been to the doctor yet." "What do you mean you haven't been? Mom, for heaven's sake." "Because every time I suggested taking him, he'd start crying and say he didn't want to waste Daddy's money." Michael leaned his head against the wall, feeling the weight of the responsibility he'd neglected. Over the past few months, after his divorce from Jennifer, he'd thrown himself into work. It was easier to deal with spreadsheets and meetings than to face the emptiness of the house and the absence of his ex-wife. "Tomorrow morning we're going to the pediatrician," Michael said firmly. "Michael, there's something else." Grandma Betty hesitated. "I noticed Ethan's pains always show up when he's very worried or sad." "What do you mean?" "Last week when you said you had a work trip, he had a really bad episode. And the week before, when Jennifer called saying she couldn't pick him up for the weekend like she promised, he was in pain all night." Michael looked at his sleeping son, his face still marked by dried tears. For the first time in months, he really saw Ethan. The boy was thinner, had dark circles he didn't have before, and slept curled up as if protecting himself from something. The next morning, Michael cancelled all his meetings and took Ethan to the pediatrician. Dr. Robert Williams, an experienced doctor who had known the family for years, examined the boy carefully. "Michael, physically, Ethan is healthy," the doctor said after speaking privately with Michael. "All the tests are normal, but I suspect this is emotional in nature." "How so?" "Stomach pains with no physical cause are very common in children under emotional stress. Did Ethan mention his parents recently separated? Michael nodded, guilt weighing heavier. Doctor, but how can an 8-year-old develop this? Michael, children feel everything happening around them. They just don't know how to express those emotions properly. Their bodies become the outlet. What do I do? First, you both need therapy. Ethan and you. Second, he needs stability and attention. He told me he misses his dad a lot. Michael left the office carrying Ethan in his arms, even though the boy was too big for it. For the first time in a long while, he truly looked into his son's eyes. Ethan, Daddy's here now. You don't have to hide anything from me, okay? Daddy, I don't want you to be sad because of me. Son, you'll never be a problem for me. You're the most important thing in my life. Ethan hugged his father tightly, as if making sure he wouldn't leave. That night, Michael decided to sleep in Ethan's room. Around 3 in the morning, the boy started tossing in bed, whimpering softly. Ethan, does it hurt? Daddy, I dreamed about Mom, Ethan said, his voice shaky. I dreamed she had the same pain I do. Michael sat up, pulling his son into his lap. Why did you dream that? Because before she left, she always held her stomach like I do, and she cried a lot. A chill ran down Michael's spine. Jennifer had developed severe anxiety in the last months of their marriage, but he'd been so focused on work, he hadn't paid enough attention. She'd complained of stomach pains, insomnia, irritability, but he'd always brushed it off as everyday stress. Son, Mom was going through a hard time, but that had nothing to do with you. But Daddy, what if I become like her? What if I get so sad I have to leave too? Michael cupped his son's face in his hands. Ethan, look at me. You'll never have to leave. Daddy will always take care of you. Promise? I promise. But even with the promise, Michael could see the fear in his son's eyes, a fear no 8-year-old should ever feel. The following week, Michael started looking for a child therapist. Dr. Emily Parker was recommended by the pediatrician as one of the best specialists for children coping with parental separation. During the first session, Michael stayed with Ethan. The therapist, a middle-aged woman with a maternal demeanor, quickly made the boy feel at ease. Ethan, can you tell me how it feels when your stomach hurts? It's like there's a little animal inside making a mess, replied Ethan, playing with a toy car. And when does this animal show up? When I get scared. Scared of what? Ethan stopped playing and looked at Michael. Can I say? Of course, son. Scared of being alone. Scared that Daddy will leave like Mommy did. Scared I did something wrong. Michael had to hold back tears. How had he not realized his son was carrying all these fears alone? After the session, Dr. Emily Parker spoke with Michael privately. Michael, Ethan is showing very intense separation anxiety. He's constantly on alert, expecting you to leave too. But I never said I'd leave. To a child, actions speak louder than words. He notices your constant absences, your worries, your stress, and he interprets them as signs he might lose you too. What can I do to help him? First, a stable routine. Second, real emotional presence, not just physical. And third, we need to work on his anxiety gradually. Michael left the appointment with a list of changes he needed to make in his and Ethan's lives. For the first time, he understood that being a father went far beyond paying bills and providing materially. The following weekend, Michael cancelled a work commitment to stay with Ethan. They went to the park they used to visit when Ethan was little, and Jennifer still lived with them. Daddy, remember when we came here with Mommy? I sure do, son. Why couldn't you keep loving each other? The question caught Michael off guard. How do you explain to a child that sometimes love isn't enough to keep a marriage together? Ethan, sometimes adults grow in different directions. That doesn't mean we stop loving you, kids. But if you couldn't keep loving each other, how will I know you'll keep loving me? Michael stopped pushing the swing where Ethan sat. Son, the love between parents and children is different. It's a love that never ends, no matter what. Even if I do something really bad? Even then? Even if I get sick? Even then? Even when I grow up and become an adult? Especially when you grow up and become an adult. Ethan smiled for the first time in weeks, a genuine smile that made Michael realize how much he'd missed his son's joy. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. But the peace didn't last long. The following Wednesday, Michael was working from home when the doorbell rang. It was Ashley, his girlfriend of 3 months, a 32-year-old woman he'd met through co-workers. "Hi, sweetheart. I thought I'd surprise you and cook dinner for you both," said Ashley, carrying grocery bags. Michael had told her about Ethan's situation and she'd been understanding. But when Ethan came downstairs and saw Ashley in the kitchen, his expression changed completely. "Hi, Ethan. I brought ingredients to make your favorite dish," Ashley said, smiling. Ethan didn't answer. He just stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, watching. "Ethan, aren't you going to say hello to Ashley?" Michael asked. "Hi," Ethan muttered before running upstairs to his room. Michael followed and found him lying on the bed, clutching his stomach. "Son, does it hurt again? Daddy, is she going to live here?" "Why are you asking that?" "Because if she lives here, you won't need me anymore." Michael sat on the bed, running his hand through Ethan's hair. "Ethan, no one will ever replace you in my life. Do you understand that?" "But Mom said you found someone else because I wasn't enough." Michael felt anger rise. Jennifer had no right putting those ideas in Ethan's head. "Ethan, your mom was wrong to say that. I found someone else because your mother and I couldn't live together anymore. That has nothing to do with you." "Then why do I feel like I'm going to throw up when she's here?" Michael didn't know how to respond. He went downstairs to the kitchen where Ashley was making dinner. "Robert, I don't think this is a good time for you to be here." "Why? What happened?" "Ethan is going through a really hard time. He needs time to adjust." "Michael, I understand he's hurting, but you can't let an 8-year-old control our relationship. It's not about control. It's about him feeling safe." "And when will he feel safe? When can I be part of your lives?" Michael looked toward the stairs, where he could hear Ethan crying in his room. "I don't know, Ashley. Maybe we need to take things slower." Ashley stopped cooking and turned to Michael. "Michael, I have something to tell you. I was waiting for the right time, but maybe you should know now." "What is it?" "I'm pregnant." Michael felt the world spin. An unplanned pregnancy in the middle of the crisis with Ethan, with the divorce still fresh in his mind. "Are you sure?" "I took 3 tests. I'm 6 weeks along." Just then, they heard a loud thud from upstairs. Michael rushed up and found Ethan collapsed on the bathroom floor, pale as paper. "Ethan?" Michael scooped his son into his arms. "Dad, I heard. Is she having a baby?" Ethan whispered. "Ethan, how did you hear?" "I came down to say sorry and heard you talking." Michael carried Ethan back to bed, but this time the pain was different, more intense, with nausea and shaking. "Dad, are you going to give me away when the baby comes?" "Ethan, for heaven's sake, why would you think that? Because now you'll have a child with her, a real child, and I'm just your ex-wife's son." Michael held Ethan tightly. "You are my real child, the first, the most important. Nothing and no one will ever change that." But Ethan wouldn't stop shaking. Michael called Dr. Emily, who told him to take Ethan to the emergency room right away. At the hospital, after hours of tests, the doctors confirmed Ethan was physically fine, but the anxiety attack had been so severe, it caused intense physical symptoms. "Mr. Johnson, we need to talk," the on-duty doctor said. "Ethan is showing signs of severe anxiety. It's important he gets psychiatric care, not just therapy." "Psychiatric? But he's only 8. Mr. Johnson, anxiety disorders can appear at any age, and if left untreated, they can develop into something worse." Michael spent the night at the hospital with Ethan. The boy slept under sedation, but Michael didn't close his eyes once. He kept thinking of all the signs he'd ignored, all the times he'd prioritized work, all the missed chances to be there for his son. The next day when they got home, Ashley was waiting in the living room. "Michael, I've been thinking a lot about last night. Maybe it's best if I step back for a while." "Ashley, no, let me finish. I want to be with you, but I can't compete with Ethan's well-being. He needs you right now." "What about the baby?" "The baby will have a mother and father who love them, but Ethan only has you now, and he's hurting." Ethan, still in Michael's arms, looked at Ashley with swollen, tear-filled eyes. "Are you leaving because of me?" he asked. "No, Ethan. I'm stepping back because you need to get better, and when you're feeling better, we'll talk again. But what about the baby? The baby will meet you when you're both ready." After Ashley left, Ethan stayed quiet for a long time. "Daddy, did I make her leave?" "No, son, she made an adult decision to help you feel better. But now you'll be sad." "Ethan, my happiness doesn't depend on having a girlfriend. My happiness depends on you being okay." That night, Michael Johnson made a decision that would change their lives. He called his boss and requested indefinite medical leave. "Michael, are you sure? The company is in the middle of the most important project of the year. I'm sure my son needs me now." "But what about your career?" "My career can wait. My son can't." When Michael told Ethan he would stay home to take care of him, the boy couldn't believe it. "Daddy, what about your important job?" "There's no job more important than taking care of you." "But what if you lose your job?" "Ethan, if I lose my job, I'll find another one. But if I lose you, there's no replacement." For the first time in months, Ethan slept through the night without a stomachache. The first few days were hard. Michael didn't know how to fill all their time together without falling back into the old routine of working from home. But gradually they created a new dynamic. Michael started cooking meals with Ethan. The boy turned out to be an excellent helper in the kitchen, and Michael found that important conversations happened naturally while they prepared food. "Daddy, do you think Mom is okay?" "Why do you ask, son?" "Because sometimes I have nightmares that she's alone and sad." "Do you want to call her?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Maybe." Michael helped Ethan call Jennifer. The conversation was brief but important. Jennifer managed to reassure Ethan that she was okay, that she had gotten professional help, and that the separation wasn't his fault. "Ethan, Mom and Dad made a lot of mistakes, but you weren't one of them. You were the best thing that ever happened to us," Jennifer said over the phone. After the call, Ethan seemed calmer, but the stomachache still came, especially when something made him anxious. One morning, Michael found several drawings hidden under Ethan's bed. They were drawings of the family, some with the three of them together, others with Ethan alone in the middle of a blank page, and still others with Michael leaving while carrying a suitcase. "Ethan, can we talk about these drawings?" Ethan turned red as if he'd been caught doing something wrong. "You weren't supposed to go through my things." "Son, I wasn't. They fell when I was making your bed." Ethan lowered his head. "They're just silly drawings." "They're not silly, they show how you feel. And that's important." Michael sat on the floor beside Ethan and spread the drawings between them. "This one, where you drew yourself alone, when do you feel like that? When you're on your phone too much, or when you stare off with a sad face?" Michael looked at the drawing where he was carrying a suitcase. "And this one? It's my biggest fear. That one day you'll leave and not come back." "Ethan, can I make you a promise?" The boy nodded. "I promise that every time I leave the house, I'll tell you exactly where I'm going and what time I'll be back, and I promise I'll always come back." "Even if it's for work?" "Even if it's for work." "Even if it's to see Ashley?" "Even if it's to see Ashley." Ethan hugged Michael. "Daddy, do you think my stomach will ever stop hurting?" "I think so, son, but we have to work together to make that happen." From that day on, Michael established a clear routine with Ethan. They would wake up together, have breakfast while talking about their plans for the day. Ethan would go to school and Michael would do activities that could be paused at any moment. When Ethan came back from school, they would spend the afternoon together, doing homework, playing, talking. Michael discovered that his son was much more interesting and intelligent than he had imagined. "Daddy, at school the teacher asked what our parents did for work. And what did you say?" "I said my dad's job is taking care of me." Michael laughed. "And did the teacher think that was strange?" "She said it was the most important job in the world." During one of his sessions with Dr. Emily, she suggested that Michael also try individual therapy. "Michael, you've been dealing with a lot of changes. Divorce, new single parenthood, work pressures. It's important to take care of your mental health too." "But I'm fine." "My priority is Ethan. And how will you take good care of him if you're not okay yourself? Michael started going to individual therapy once a week. In the first few sessions, it was hard for him to admit that he needed help too. Michael, when was the last time you allowed yourself to feel your own emotions about the divorce? The therapist asked. I don't have time to dwell on that. But unprocessed emotions have a way of resurfacing. Maybe some of Ethan's anxiety is a reflection of your own unresolved anxiety. Michael began to realize he was always on edge, always worried about something. It was as if he had spent so much time on autopilot that he had forgotten how to relax. One night, Ethan had a particularly intense nightmare and woke up with a stomachache. Daddy, I dreamed you were turning into a different person. What do you mean? You were becoming like the Grandma Betty always talks about. Michael felt a chill. Grandma Betty often commented that he was repeating his own father's patterns, workaholic, absent, emotionally distant. Ethan, what was I like in the dream? You wouldn't look me in the eyes, and when I talked to you, you'd just say, uh-huh, without ever looking up from your phone. Michael realized this had happened many times in real life. Son, in the dream, was I able to change? Yes, but only when you noticed I was disappearing. Disappearing how? I kept turning transparent until you couldn't see me anymore. Michael hugged Ethan, understanding that his son's dream reflected his real fears, being ignored, being invisible, not being a priority in his father's life. The next day, Michael had a difficult conversation with Grandma Betty. Mom, Ethan told me he dreamed I was becoming like Grandpa. What do you always say about my dad? Grandma Betty sighed. Michael, your father was a good man, but he thought being a good father just meant working to provide for the family. He never understood that children need presence, not just provision. Do you think I'm repeating his mistakes? You were, but now you're changing, and that makes all the difference. How do you know? Because your father never had the humility to stop and realize he was making mistakes. You did. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. A few weeks later, Michael got an unexpected call from Jennifer. Michael, I need to talk to you. It's about Ethan. What's wrong with Ethan? The therapist I've been seeing said it would be good for me to spend more time with him, so he can see that I'm okay. Michael fell silent. The idea of Jennifer re-entering Ethan's routine made him nervous. Michael, are you still there? I am. It's just, Ethan is in a delicate place right now. I'm not sure this is the best time for changes. I understand your concern, but he also needs to see that his mother hasn't disappeared from his life. Michael spoke with Dr. Emily Parker about the situation. Michael, the mother's presence can be beneficial as long as it's gradual and consistent. Ethan needs to rebuild trust in his emotional bonds. But what if he has episodes again? It's possible he'll feel anxious at first, but hiding his mother from him isn't healthy in the long run either. Michael decided to talk to Ethan about the possibility of Jennifer visiting them. Son, how would you feel if Mommy came over for lunch with us on Sunday? Ethan stopped playing and looked at Michael with a serious expression. Will she leave again after? She will, but she promised she'll keep visiting regularly. What if she promises and doesn't keep it like last time? Michael remembered that Jennifer had cancelled several visits with Ethan in the first few months after the separation. Ethan, what if we take it slow? She comes for lunch, and if you feel okay, we'll schedule another visit. What if I don't feel okay? Then we'll talk about how you felt and decide together what to do. Ethan thought for a long time. Okay. But will you stay with me? I'll stay. On Sunday, Jennifer arrived right on time for lunch. Michael noticed she seemed different, calmer, more centered. Therapy seemed to be helping. Ethan was shy at first, but gradually opened up. They talked about school, Ethan's drawings, and changes in their routine. Ethan, do you want to tell me about your stomach aches? Jennifer asked. Ethan looked at Michael, who nodded encouragingly. Mommy, sometimes my stomach hurts when I get scared. Scared of what? Scared that the people I love will leave and not come back. Jennifer held Ethan's hand. Sweetheart, when I left, it wasn't because I stopped loving you. It was because I was very emotionally sick and needed to take care of myself. But why didn't you take me with you? Because when you're emotionally sick, you can't take good care of the people you love. It was better for you to stay with Daddy. And are you better now? I'm getting better. I'm still in treatment, but now I can take care of myself and still have time for you too. After lunch, while Ethan played in the backyard, Michael and Jennifer talked. Jennifer, can you explain something to me? Ethan said you also had stomach aches before you left. Jennifer lowered her head. Michael, I developed severe anxiety in the last few months of our marriage. I had panic attacks, insomnia, psychosomatic pain, and you were so absent that I felt completely alone. Why didn't you ever tell me? I tried many times, but you always said it was normal stress, that it would pass. Michael vaguely remembered Jennifer complaining about pain, sleepless nights, irritability, but he always chalked it up to exhaustion or PMS. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. I should have paid more attention. Michael, blaming yourself now won't help. What matters is that we don't repeat those mistakes with Ethan. Do you think he inherited our anxiety? I think he learned to somatize emotions by watching us. Children learn more from what they see than from what we tell them. After Jennifer left, Ethan was quiet for a while. Daddy, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you and Mommy going to live together again? Michael braced himself for a tough question. No, son. We get along now, but as friends and as your parents, not as husband and wife. Can I be sad about that? Of course you can. It's normal to feel sad when things change. But if I'm sad, will my stomach hurt? It might hurt a little. But now you know you can tell me when you're sad, and we can talk about those feelings. And does talking make the pain go away? Talking helps a lot. And with time, you'll learn other ways to deal with sadness without it turning into physical pain. That night, Ethan had a small episode of pain, but it was different from the previous ones. He managed to explain to Michael exactly what he was feeling. Sadness that the family wouldn't go back to how it was before, but also relief knowing for sure it wasn't his fault. In the following weeks, Ethan began to improve gradually. The pains became less frequent and less intense. He also started expressing his emotions better with words instead of somatizing them. One day, Michael got a call from Ethan's school. Mr. Johnson, we'd like to talk to you about Ethan. Michael's heart raced, imagining something had happened. Is he okay? Yes, he is. Actually, we wanted to talk about a significant improvement we've noticed in him. Michael went to the school and spoke with the teacher and the counselor. Mr. Johnson, over the past few weeks, Ethan has been much more engaged and sociable. He started playing with his classmates again, which he hadn't done in months. And his school performance? It's improved a lot too. He was having trouble concentrating, but now he can focus on activities normally. Have you noticed anything else? Yes. He talks a lot about the things he does with you. It's clear he's feeling more secure and loved. Michael left the school with his chest full of pride and relief. The changes he'd made in his life were paying off. That afternoon, when Ethan came home from school, Michael had a surprise for him. Ethan, how about we do something special today? What kind of thing? You choose. It can be anything you want to do with me. Ethan thought for a moment. Can I really choose anything? Anything. I want you to teach me how to make that cake Grandma used to make when you were little. Michael smiled. Grandma Betty always made a carrot cake with chocolate frosting that was his favorite as a child. Let's call Grandma and ask for the recipe. They spent the whole afternoon cooking together. Ethan turned out to be a dedicated assistant, carefully following every instruction. When the cake was ready, they called Grandma Betty to try it. It's just like mine, said Grandma Betty, tears in her eyes. Grandma, why are you crying? Ethan asked. Because I'm seeing my grandson and my son happy together. That's the most beautiful thing in the world. That night, Ethan went to sleep with no pain in his stomach. And for the first time in months, Michael was able to relax completely. A few weeks later, Ashley reached out to Michael. "Michael, how are you both doing?" "We're good. Ethan is much better." "That's great. I've been thinking about you both a lot." "And how are you?" "I'm good. The pregnancy is going well. I'm at 14 weeks. Ashley, I need to apologize to you." "For what?" "For letting our situation affect Ethan. I should have handled everything better." "Michael, you did the best you could at the time, and you made the right choice by putting your son first. And now, how would you like things to be?" "I'd like to talk to both of you, if Ethan is ready." Michael talked to Ethan about the possibility of meeting Ashley. "Daddy, is she still pregnant?" "Yes, she is. And the baby is still going to be my brother. Half-brother, if you want." Ethan thought for a moment. "Can I talk to her without my stomach hurting?" "I don't know, son. But if it hurts, we can stop the conversation and you can tell me what you're feeling." "Okay, but first I want to draw something for her." Ethan spent the afternoon drawing. When he finished, he showed Michael. It was a picture of him, Michael, Ashley, and a baby all holding hands, but with Ethan standing very close to Michael. "Ethan, does this drawing show how you wish things would be?" "It shows that I understand the baby will be part of our family, but that I'm still important to you. You'll always be important to me. I know that now." The following weekend, Ashley came to visit them. She was visibly pregnant, with a small stomach that Ethan observed curiously. "Ashley, I made a drawing for you," Ethan said, handing her the paper. Ashley looked at the drawing and smiled. "Ethan, is this how you picture our family?" "It's how I hope it will be. All of us together, but with no one being less important." "I hope so too." "Ashley, can I ask you something about the baby?" "Of course." "When the baby is born, will you love them more than you love me?" Ashley knelt to Ethan's height. "Ethan, love isn't a competition. When someone loves a person, it doesn't take away from the love they feel for others. It's like the heart is stretchy and can grow to hold more love." "Like Dad loves me and loves you and the baby?" "Exactly like that." Ethan seemed satisfied with the answer. "And can you teach me things about babies? Because I've never had a sibling." "I sure can. And you can teach me things about being the oldest child." That afternoon, for the first time since learning about the pregnancy, Ethan didn't have any stomach pain around Ashley. In the following months, Michael, Ethan, and Ashley built a new family dynamic. Michael learned to balance time between his son, his girlfriend, and himself. Ethan learned it was possible to have a family different from his original one without it meaning less love or security. Jennifer's visits also became regular. Ethan now had 2 homes, his main one with Michael and alternating weekends at Jennifer's new place. One day, during a session with Dr. Emily, Ethan made an important revelation. "Doctor, it's been over a month since my stomach hurt. How do you feel about that?" "I feel normal, like I'm just a normal kid." "Ethan, you've always been a normal kid. You were just going through a hard time." "Doctor, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course." "Sometimes I still feel sad that my parents don't live together. But now I know it's okay to feel sad sometimes. And that being sad doesn't mean something bad will happen." Dr. Emily smiled. "Ethan, that shows you've become much more emotionally mature." "What does emotionally mature mean?" "It means you're learning to understand and handle your feelings in a healthy way." When they left the office, Michael and Ethan stopped by the ice cream shop they used to visit before the separation. "Dad, remember when we came here and I always ordered the biggest ice cream?" "I do." "Now can I get the biggest one without my stomach hurting after?" Michael laughed. "You sure can, son, but maybe start with a medium so you don't actually get sick." They laughed together, and Michael realized it had been a long time since he'd heard Ethan laugh so carefree. On the way home, Ethan said something that touched Michael deeply. "Dad, did you know that now when I wake up, the first thing I feel is wanting to see you?" "I didn't know. What did you used to feel?" "Before, I was scared you'd be gone in the morning. And now I know you'll always be there when I wake up. Even if you leave, you always come back." Michael stopped the car and hugged Ethan. "You're right, son. I'll always be there for you." That night, Michael reflected on the journey they'd been through. He'd lost some work opportunities by taking leave, but he'd gained something far more valuable: his son's trust and emotional well-being. A few weeks later, Michael received a call from work offering a proposal for a gradual return, part-time, with the possibility of remote work. "Ethan, how would you feel if Daddy went back to work a little, part-time from home? You won't have to travel. No traveling, and when I have meetings, they'll be online right here at home. And you'll still be able to pick me up from school." "I sure will." "Then it's okay, you like working, right?" "I do, but I like being your dad much more." "Daddy, you can be both. You can work and be my dad at the same time." Michael smiled, realizing Ethan had matured a lot during those months. On the day Michael returned to work part-time, Ethan made sure to prepare a special breakfast to wish his dad good luck. "Daddy, if you ever need to stop working to take care of me again, you will, right?" "Of course. But now I know better how to balance both. And if my stomach hurts again, if your stomach hurts, we'll talk about what you're feeling, and I'll help you handle those feelings. Even if it's in the middle of an important meeting? Even if it's in the middle of the most important meeting of my life." Ethan hugged Michael. "Daddy, I don't think my stomach will hurt again, but it's good to know you'd drop everything to take care of me." "That's what dads are for, son." A few months later, Olivia, Ethan's little sister, was born. Defying all fears, Ethan welcomed her with affection and curiosity. "Daddy, she's so tiny," Ethan said, watching Olivia in Ashley's arms. "You were just like that when you were born. And you took care of me the same way you'll take care of her." "I sure did, and I'll keep taking care of you just the same." Ethan became a protective and loving big brother. He helped with small tasks, sang to Olivia when she cried, and always made sure to include her in his games. One day, when Olivia was 6 months old, Ethan made an observation that moved all the adults. "Daddy, have you noticed Olivia never cries when I'm around?" "I have. I think it's because she knows I won't let anything bad happen to her." "And how does she know that?" "Because I know you won't let anything bad happen to me, so I can do the same for her." Michael realized Ethan had learned about safety and protection through the relationship they'd built together. The boy was passing on what he'd received. At school, Ethan also flourished. His grades improved, he made new friends, and he became a confident, happy child. During a parent-teacher meeting, the teacher told Michael, "Mr. Johnson, Ethan has completely transformed. He's much more mature, responsible, and empathetic with his classmates." "How so empathetic?" "Last week, a little classmate was crying because his parents were separating. Ethan went up to him and said, 'I know how you feel. My parents split up too. But you know what I found out? They still love me just the same. They just live in different houses.'" It was very touching. Michael smiled, proud to see Ethan using his own experience to help others. On Olivia's first birthday, the whole family gathered. Michael, Ethan, Ashley, Olivia, Jennifer, and Grandma Betty. It was a non-traditional family setup, but it worked and was full of love. "Ethan, are you happy?" Jennifer asked her son. "I am, Mom. Sometimes I still feel sad when I think about how things used to be, but now I know families can be happy in different ways." "And your stomach?" "It doesn't hurt anymore. When I feel sad or worried, I talk to Daddy or you or Grandma, and when I talk about it, the sadness goes away without turning into pain." Jennifer looked at Michael with gratitude in her eyes. Both knew they could have lost Ethan to anxiety and depression if Michael hadn't made the brave decision to prioritize his son above all else. 2 years later, Ethan, now 10 years old, wrote an essay at school about family that deeply moved everyone. The essay said, "My family is different from my classmates' families. My mom and dad don't live together. My dad has a girlfriend who is also the mother of my little sister. Some people think that's strange, but I've learned that family isn't about living in the same house. It's about loving and caring for each other. When I was younger, I thought if my parents didn't live together, they didn't love me anymore. That made me very sad, and I had stomach aches. My dad found out I was suffering and dropped everything to take care of me. He taught me that love isn't measured by how much time people spend together, but by the quality of that time. Now I have a big family, my dad, my mom, my stepmom, my sister, and my grandma. They all love me, and I love them all. I've learned that having a different family doesn't mean having a worse one. It just means having a unique family, just like me. When Michael read the essay, he cried, not from sadness, but from joy and pride. Ethan had become a resilient, empathetic, and wise child. At the 4th grade graduation, Ethan was chosen to give a speech representing the class. Part of it was dedicated to his parents. I want to thank all the parents here today, especially those who had the courage to change when they realized they needed to. My dad taught me that being strong doesn't mean not feeling fear or sadness. Being strong means feeling those emotions and still not giving up on the people we love. Michael was in the audience with Ashley, Olivia in her arms, and Jennifer by his side. Everyone cried during Ethan's speech. After the ceremony, a mother approached Michael. "Mr. Johnson, my son told me about your story. I wanted to thank you." "Thank me? For what?" "Because your actions inspired my husband to rethink his priorities too. He was making the same mistakes you did at first, but when he heard how you changed your life for Ethan, he decided to do the same for our son." Michael realized their journey had inspired other families. The courage to put Ethan first had created a positive ripple effect. That night, after all the guests had left, Michael and Ethan were alone talking. "Dad, do you regret quitting your job to take care of me?" "Ethan, it was the best decision I've ever made in my life." "Even though you missed some opportunities?" "Son, I didn't miss opportunities. I gained the most important one, the chance to be the father you needed." "What if you hadn't done it?" Michael thought for a moment. "If I hadn't done it, maybe I would have gotten a promotion, more money, more recognition at work. But I would have lost you. And nothing in the world is worth more than you." Ethan hugged Michael tightly. "Dad, I love you. I love you too, son. More than anything in this world." That night, Ethan slept peacefully, with no stomachaches. It had been over 2 years since the pain had completely disappeared. Michael also slept soundly, knowing he had made the right choices. The next morning, Michael woke up to Ethan preparing breakfast for the whole family. It was Grandma Betty's birthday, and Ethan had planned a surprise. "Grandma, this breakfast is to thank you for taking care of me when Dad didn't know how to do it right," Ethan said, serving her coffee. Grandma Betty hugged her grandson with tears in her eyes. "Ethan, seeing you two happy is the best gift I could ever receive." During breakfast, Olivia took her first steps, walking straight to Ethan. Everyone applauded with emotion. "Daddy, did you see? She came right to me," said Ethan, picking up his sister in his arms. "I saw, son. She knows you're the big brother who will always protect her. Just like you protect me. Just like I protect you." Ethan spun around with Olivia in his arms, both of them laughing. Michael Johnson watched the scene and realized he hadn't just raised a happy child, but a young man who knew how to love and care for others. Ashley approached Michael. "Are you proud?" "More than proud. I'm grateful." "Grateful for what?" "Grateful that Ethan gave me the chance to be a better father. Grateful that you understood he needed time. Grateful that Jennifer came back into his life. Grateful that my mother supported me. Grateful for all the second chances life has given us." That afternoon, Michael received a call from work, offering him an important promotion. "Michael, we know family is your priority. This position allows full schedule flexibility and remote work. We want you to lead our new work-life balance initiative." Michael accepted the promotion, knowing he could be successful professionally without sacrificing his role as a father. The company had realized that employees with family balance were more productive and creative. When he told Ethan about the promotion, the boy reacted with excitement. "Daddy, does that mean you can teach other dads how to take better care of their kids?" "In a way, yes." "That's so cool. Then more kids will have present dads like I do." Michael realized Ethan had perfectly understood the value of what they had been through together. A few months later, Michael was invited to give a talk on active fatherhood at a tech company. Ethan asked to come along. "Daddy, can I tell people about when I had a stomachache?" Only if you feel comfortable talking about it. I do. I think it might help other parents understand when their kids are hurting. During the talk, Michael shared their story. When he reached the part about deciding to stop working to care for Ethan, a father in the audience raised his hand. Michael, how did you find the courage to make such a big change? Michael looked at Ethan, who was sitting in the front row. I realized my son was more important than my career, and that if I lost him, nothing else in my life would make sense. Another father asked, but weren't you afraid of the financial consequences? I was terrified. But I realized the emotional cost of losing my son would be far greater than any financial cost. Ethan asked to speak, and Michael handed him the microphone. Hi everyone, I'm Ethan. I wanted to tell you that when my dad decided to take care of me, he didn't lose anything. He gained a happy son, and I got the best dad in the world. The audience was moved. Several fathers came up after the talk to speak with Michael and Ethan. One said, Ethan, your dad is lucky to have a son like you. Ethan replied, actually, we're both lucky to have each other. On the way home, Michael asked, Ethan, how did you feel speaking at the talk? I felt useful, like our story could help other families. Do you really think our story can help? I'm sure, because if other parents understand that kids need presents more than money, they'll make better choices. Michael smiled, impressed by his son's maturity. Ethan, when you grow up, do you want to be a dad? Yes, and I want to be a dad just like you. What do you mean, just like me? A dad who isn't afraid to stop everything to take care of his kids when they need him. That night, Michael wrote in his journal, Today I realized Ethan didn't just heal from his stomach aches. He became a better person because of everything we went through. And I became a better person too. Our crisis turned us into a stronger, more united family. If I could go back in time, I'd do everything exactly the same. The following weekend, Ethan organized a picnic in the park for the whole family. It was the same park where Michael had promised to always be present in his son's life. Daddy, do you remember when you promised me here that you'd always come home? I remember perfectly. You kept your promise, and I'll keep it for the rest of my life. Ethan pointed to Olivia, who was playing in the grass with Ashley. And will you make the same promise to Olivia? I already have. And for the kids I'll have in the future, Michael laughed. When you have kids, I'll teach them that having a present father is the greatest treasure a child can have, because that's what I learned from you. Ethan ran off to play with Olivia, but turned back to Michael first. Daddy, thank you for giving up everything to take care of me. I'm the one who should thank you for teaching me what really matters in life. As he watched Ethan play with Olivia, Michael reflected on their entire journey. Ethan's stomach pains had been a wake-up call for something much bigger, the need for connection, presence, and emotional security. Michael had learned that being a father wasn't just about providing financially, but being emotionally available. He'd learned that career and family didn't have to be mutually exclusive, but whenever there was a conflict, family should come first. Ethan had learned that difficult feelings were normal, that asking for help was brave, and that he was worthy of love and attention. He'd learned that families could come in different shapes and still be full of love. Together, they'd learned that life's greatest treasures couldn't be bought with money. Quality time, emotional presence, mutual trust, and unconditional love. As the sun began to set, the family got ready to head home. Ethan took Michael's hand. Daddy, this was the best day of my life. Why? Because I have my whole family together and happy, and I don't feel any pain in my stomach when I think about the future. Michael squeezed his son's hand. Son, this was one of the best days of my life too. Why? Because I see that you've become a happy, secure, and confident child, and that's all a father could wish for. That night, as he tucked Ethan into bed, Michael asked the same question he'd asked every night since their healing journey began. Ethan, how do you feel? I feel loved, protected, and happy. And your stomach? My stomach is fine, and I think it'll stay fine forever. Michael kissed his son's forehead. Good night, champ. Good night, Daddy. Thank you for saving me. I'm the one who should thank you for saving me too." Ethan fell asleep with a smile on his face, and Michael realized his journey as a father was just beginning. But now he knew exactly how to be the father Ethan needed. Present, attentive, loving, and brave enough to make the right choices, even when they were hard. The end. So, what did you think of Michael and Ethan's story? Wasn't it touching to see how a father transformed his life to save his son's emotional well-being? Tell us in the comments, do you think Michael made the right decision? And if you were a parent, would you do the same? Share your honest thoughts below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.